tell me. That team's undefeated, number 3 in the country. A lot of the pundits out there think they're the number 1 team in the country. We just beat them by 10.
What kind of statement do you think that made to the committee?
Well, I think this. If you really look at the body of work and you look at the Southeastern Conference and what we have to go through every week, you look at the non-conference schedule we play to go to Ohio State in week 1 and lose by 7 when we outgained them by nearly 200 yards. We got a really good football team, and it would be a disservice to our sport if this team's not a playoff team when we went and scheduled that non-conference game. Because if we're a 10-2 team, it's not a question. But we were willing to go play that game. So is that what college football is about? Don't play anybody and just have a good record, or play the best and put the best teams in the playoff, and we're one of the best teams.
Well, that did not happen for Texas. Although Texas moved up a few spots, it was not enough for Texas to make the college football playoff this season. What is done now is in pen, not pencil. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Texas failing to move up enough spots in the college football playoff rankings. Texas will finish the regular season with a 9-3 record. However, that record was not good enough for Texas to make the college football playoff this season. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Should Texas have been allowed in the college football playoff this season? Honestly, I've been going back and forth on this topic, but ultimately, I'm going to say no. Texas should not be allowed to make the college football playoff this season. The committee got it right. Although the committee is certainly far from perfect, and I disagree with the committee's rankings from time to time, in the case of Texas, the committee absolutely got it right. I understand Texas is playing elite football right now. I understand Texas has beaten a lot of very good football teams, and I understand Texas has had a very tough strength of schedule. All of those factors are certainly true. However, here's the catch. What is the most important thing in a college football playoff resume? Record. And whether or not you agree or disagree with that concept, that's just a fact of the matter. Texas just quite frankly did not win enough games to make the college football playoff this year. Look, they went 9-3 and had a successful season by most university standards. However, for the University of Texas, they expect their football program to win more than 9 games, and that certainly did not happen in the case of Texas this year. Did anyone think that Texas was going to go 9-3 before the season started? No, they didn't. In fact, a lot of people believe Texas was going to win the national championship and go undefeated and be the modern day version of the 2019 LSU Tigers. That's not me saying that. That's what ESPN was telling everyone about Texas before the season started. Everyone was talking about how Arch Manning was supposedly this next great college quarterback. And although Arch Manning had his moments this year, he certainly was not a great college quarterback this year. That would certainly not be true. And you have to think about how Texas failed to live up to expectations before the season started. Look, I like Steve Sarkisian a lot. You guys know that I've been very complimentary of him in the past, and I've always been a fan of Steve Sarkisian. I love what he's doing at Texas, but Steve Sarkisian is fooling himself if he thinks that an out-of-conference loss to Ohio State is the reason why Texas is out of the college football playoff. Losing to Ohio State is not the reason why. The reason why Texas is left out of the college football playoff is because they lost to 4-8 Florida. It's not because they lost to Ohio State. Losing to Ohio State was fine. Everyone could understand if you could not beat the number 1 team in the country in Ohio State. In fact, this year, it looks like no one is going to beat Ohio State. And for Texas to schedule that out-of-conference matchup, kudos to those guys for doing that, because at least they were man enough to play against strong competition. However, if Texas doesn't lose to Florida, then this wouldn't be an issue to begin with. If they beat Florida, they're 10-2, and no one would argue whether or not they belong in the college football playoff. And look at the college football playoff rankings. Texas is the best 3-loss team by far in those rankings. Texas, no doubt, has an impressive resume. However, if you have 3 losses on your schedule, it's really hard to justify putting a team in the college football playoff, regardless of how many teams it is. I also want to show you guys this clip of Steve Sarkisian trying to justify why Texas should be in the college football playoff. He talks about how the loss to Ohio State should not be held against Texas. Although I certainly agree with Steve Sarkisian in this sentiment, I believe that factor is irrelevant as to why Texas missed out on the college football playoff this year. Roll the film.
Do you want us not to schedule Ohio State? Because if we're a 10-2 team right now, this isn't a discussion. were in the playoff, but we were willing to go up there and play that game. And so now when you play 5 top 10 ranked teams in the regular season, and you go 3-2, you beat 3 of them, and you schedule an Ohio State out of conference play, I surely don't think we want to punish us to do that. Because what are we all going to do? We're all going to get out of those games, just like a lot of other teams in the country have done. And they've got nice, pretty records right now. But they weren't willing to go play these games out of conference. We're willing to go play those games. I just hope we don't get punished for doing that. And this whole idea that, hey, well, you lost to Florida. Well, the team that played for the national championship last year lost to Northern Illinois at home.
You serious?
Apparently so. Look, I get that Steve Sarkisian has a good heart in place, and I understand that his arguments for Texas being in the college football playoff are actually very rational, but here's the catch with Steve Sarkisian. You don't have better records than all of those teams that are included in the college football playoff. And like Herm Edwards once said, you play the games for what? You play the game to win the game. Quite frankly, Texas just didn't have enough wins in comparisons to the other teams in the college football playoff. They're out of the college football playoff because they lost to Florida. And here's the thing, some of their wins came in ugly fashion. What about needing the fact to win a close game against Mississippi State? What about the fact that they needed a close game to beat Kentucky? Those factors have to be considered in as well. And I understand Steve Sarkisian is trying to argue that at the end of the day, 9-3 with an impressive resume should be enough to get into the college football playoff. But Steve Sarkisian has to understand that there are other programs that are just as good, if not better than Texas. And look, I get it. I want to see Texas in the college football playoff myself. But you have to ask yourself, is it fair for Texas to be put into the college football playoff? We can't change the goalposts because we want to see certain teams more than other teams. I know that's not necessarily fair, but that's the rules the committee has to play by, because they promised themselves that they were going to put 5 conference champions in the college football playoff before the season started. Therefore, you cannot include Texas in there, so that leaves 2 spots left. Alabama is one of the other ones. They're playing the SEC championship. You can't penalize Alabama for losing the SEC championship. Otherwise, Alabama would have been better off had they not played in it, so you basically have to include them. And then the other spot is who exactly? Right now, it's Notre Dame. It could be BYU if they win their game against Texas Tech. If not BYU or Notre Dame, then it's got to be Miami, because right now Miami is ranked above Texas. Really, what I'm trying to say is there really is no spot for Texas to make the college football playoff. It's unfortunate Texas is in the position that they're in, absolutely, but at the end of the day, Texas has no one to blame but themselves. Quit blaming the schedule as to why you were left out of the college football playoff. Losing to Florida was the real reason why Texas was left out of the college football playoff. That was an unforgivable loss. That's a loss you look back at the end of the year and you say to yourself, well, damn, if we had taken care of business against a 4-8 Florida team, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. Texas would be in the college football playoff and there wouldn't be any crying whatsoever. It's just the simple truth. I hate saying it, but I can't be biased and say that Texas should be allowed in the college football playoff when you really can't make a case for Texas being above these other teams that are currently in the college football playoff. So that is why Texas should not have been allowed in the college football playoff this season, as Texas losing to Florida was the real reason why Texas did not have a strong enough case to be included in the college football playoff. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports guy talking.